Hi there and welcome to today's vlog, Legacy. When Sue's Aunt Joan died a few months ago, one of the things that we had to do, as you always have to do in these occasions, is to clear out her flat, sort out her belongings and decide which could go to charity shop, at least if they were open, etc, etc. And she also had appointed me as executor, so I had to look through her papers and try and sort them out. One of the things I found when I was sorting out Aunt Joan's papers was this. It's a passbook, investment account passbook for NS&I. And I looked inside the passbook and noticed that it hadn't been updated for some years. In fact, I think the use the time when passbooks were regularly updated is probably past. A lot of stuff done online these days. Anyway, the latest balance, or the last balance shown in the passbook, was £676.40, and that was back in probably 2012, 8 years ago or so. So 600 odd quid. It's not a life-changing amount, but I thought I need to find out what the balance was at the day Aunt Joan died. So as you do, I wrote off to NS&I and gave them the information that Aunt Joan had died and I was the executor. Could they give me a figure for the balance when she died, so that I could report that in due process? I got a letter back probably within a couple of weeks saying, "Thank you for your letter. We'll pass it on to the appropriate department and then get back to you." Well, I waited several weeks and still nothing. So I wrote another letter saying, I wrote, "On this such and such a date, you said you'd get back to me, but you haven't done. What's the answer, please?" And still no reply. So I went online, and obviously with the coronavirus situation, things are a bit difficult for a lot of financial institutions, but I thought maybe I can get an answer online. So I used their live chat facility, and I had this long conversation with this person on the other end of the line on my laptop, explaining the situation, but this person said, "Well, yeah, you're going to have to wait. I can't really help you," even though probably at a touch of a button she could have given me the answer that I needed. So I thought, well, 600 odd quid, probably a bit of interest added on since then. It's worth waiting for. So I just have to sit back and wait. Anyway, recently I had a letter from NS&I. Sorry about that doorbell. I recently had a letter from NS&I with the answer, the long-awaited answer, and they said, "Dear Reverend Clark, we are delighted to be able to let you have the answer. The amount on Mrs. Brunning's account at the date of death was the grand total. Well, they didn't use those words, but the answer was 49 pence. 49 pence." And they said, "If you fill in this form and post it back to us, we can transfer that 49 pence to your account." Of course, the cost of a postage stamp would be more than the 49 pence, so it wasn't really worth it. So I think we'll probably donate the 49 pence to NS&I for their funds. Sometimes we spend a lot of time on an activity and it turns out to be of not very great value. And we may feel that our time was wasted. We haven't spent good use of our time. That reminds me of quite a lot of years ago now. I was really struck by a particular passage in a letter of St. Paul. And I thought, I need to sit down and write a book about this. And I did start it. I've still probably got my notes somewhere. And it's still a passage that really resonates in my mind, comes back to me time on occasions. I want to read it to you. It's from St. Paul, his first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 3. And Paul is talking about, or using the illustration of himself as a builder, that with our lives of following Jesus, we build something, we're creating something. He says, "Using the gift that God gave me, I did the work of an expert builder and laid the foundation." Someone else is building on it. So he's done part of the work, the foundation in the life of that church, but others are building on it. Just like in the past 8 years in the 3 churches where I've been minister, I've played my part, I've done my bit, but then when I move on, someone else will come on and carry on the work. And then he says, but each of us, or each of you, must be careful how you build. For God has already placed Jesus Christ as the one and only foundation, and no other foundation can be laid. That's so important, isn't it? That Jesus is the foundation to our Christian lives, obviously. That is the foundation that's been laid. That is the only sure and certain foundation. And we need to be building on that foundation of all that we find in Christ Jesus. And then he says, some will use gold or silver or precious stones in building on the foundation. Others will use wood or grass or straw. And the quality of each person's work will be seen when the day of Christ exposes it. For on that day, fire will reveal everyone's work. The fire will test it and show its real quality. If what was built on the foundation survives the fire, the builder will receive a reward. But if your work is burnt up, then you will lose it, but you yourself will be saved, as if you had escaped through the fire. That's a really, really sobering passage. So Paul is in effect saying, well, what we are building with our lives, what we are doing in God's service, the quality of the materials we're using is really important. If we're building, he says, with gold, silver, or precious stones, then when the quality of our work is tested by the fire, that will stand the test that will stand after the test and through the test. But if we're building only with wood, grass, or straw, then when the fire comes, that will all be burnt up. Our work will have been as nothing, just as all my work in pursuing the money that's in this account came to nothing because it was of no value. And the intention of me writing a book about this passage was to really think about what is it that Paul has in mind when he writes about whether we build with silver, gold and precious stones that will stand the test, or wood, hay or straw that will be burnt up in the test. And when Jesus told stories, he very rarely gave a clue, or he gave clues, but he didn't say, this is the parable, this is what it means. No, he left the parable there for people to think about and work on and try and understand with God's help. So I'm not going to, in this vlog, answer the question, what does it mean to build with gold, silver and precious stones? What does it mean to, with our lives, build something that will, when the fire tests it, stand the test, and we will be able to offer it as an offering to God? And what does it mean to build with our lives using wood, hay, straw that will be burnt up in the fire? There'll be nothing left. I'll leave you to think about that. I'm thinking about it, and maybe one day after I retired I'll write that book. But God bless you as we seek to understand God through his Spirit will open our hearts and minds. So thank you so much for listening. God bless you.